Hey guys, right before we get into the video, real quick, I wanted to let you guys know that I have a really awesome announcement to make towards the end of the video, so if you could, stick around towards the end to hear some really awesome news regarding the channel and the sponsorship for the channel. I know we're off the heels off of a big announcement already, but please, just stay tuned to the end of the video. I got a really fun announcement to make, and with that said, enjoy the video. Hey, what's up you guys, it's Caboose bringing you another Marvel's Avengers video, and today what I got for you guys here is something that I've been waiting to talk about and make a video on for a little while now. I just never had the opportunity to sit down and do it, and now I do. So before we get into this, I wanted to ask you guys, of course, if you could leave a like rating on the video as it shows your support, and I would really appreciate it. So if you could leave a like, that would be awesome. And with that said, well, let's get into this. So, a couple of weeks back, I was in London, England to play Marvel's Avengers once again at EGX. This time, I actually got a chance to get my hands on and get some gameplay with Miss Marvel. So, in today's video, I want to do a little bit of a news roundup of some information that has been circulating about Marvel's Avengers, as well as talk about my hands-on with Miss Marvel and getting a chance to play as her in this game. And then I want to talk to you guys a little bit about my interview with Scott Amos, who is the head of Crystal Dynamics, the studio head, and I want to tell you guys some of the answers that I got regarding some questions that I had asked about this game. So, without further ado, let's jump into this. So before I got my hands on with the character, they did a bit of a breakdown of the game and what's going on leading up to the story of Marvel's Avengers and what's going on with the overall story of the game when we get our hands on it. And for the most part, it's stuff that we've all heard before, you know, the events of A-Day and what happens to our characters. I've broken down a lot of this in previous videos, but there were a couple of little new tidbits that I hadn't heard before, so let's break that down. So first off, we know that AIM are the big bads of this game. We don't know what the main villain will be. Maybe it's going to be MODOK. I'm not entirely sure. There's no confirmation on that. But we know for sure that AIM is essentially the antagonist. The main villains that we'll be facing, the main organization that we'll be facing in this game is AIM. And with that, it was also mentioned by Scott Amos that they're trying to cure the Inhumans. And that's a part of their agenda. They're trying to just get rid of superheroes and anybody with superpowers altogether. So what they're trying to do is saying, hey, if you were affected by the Terrigen Mist, we can cure you, because maybe there are some people who just don't want the responsibility or don't want these powers. We obviously know that Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, is an Inhuman herself, but it seems based on this mention that there might be other Inhumans that we'll run into throughout this game. Now, I would love to see some of the main Inhumans of the main family, if you will. If we see someone like a Black Bolt, that would be awesome. None of that is confirmed yet, but it looks like there will be some sort of an Inhuman presence within this game story as AIM is trying to cure anyone who is affected by the Terrigen Mist. Then transitioning from that, Scott Amos was talking about Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel being in this game, and mentioned that they're staying very true to the character from the comic books. She's a fangirl, she writes fan fiction of these characters, and her favorite superhero is Captain Marvel, and Scott Amos straight up name drops Captain Marvel. And I do believe that there's actually a little character description out there for Miss Marvel right now that was displayed on her costume that was put on display at certain conventions that have been making the rounds with Marvel's Avengers. And on that character description for Miss Marvel, it's once again mentioned that she is a huge fan and her favorite superhero is Captain Marvel. So what does this mean? Is Captain Marvel going to be in the game? Is she going to be playable? I don't think she is going to be a launch character, but I think there is no chance in hell that they're not going to have her end up being one of the DLC heroes that's added to this game. They might make mention of her in the story and say that she's just off-world, and that might help with the reason why she's not going to be involved with the story of the game. But then if we get some DLC down the road, she will most likely be a character that's added, especially considering the fact that she's getting name dropped here, and we do hear that Miss Marvel is a big fan of her. There was also mention that there are going to be gear sets in this game that give your character a bonus stat. So for instance, you can obtain a full set of Stark Industries gear that will give your character a boost in a certain stat, or maybe you're going to get a boost in experience, whatever it might be. And if you've played Injustice 2 at all, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They did a lot of that in that game. The only thing that's unfortunate about the gear in Marvel's Avengers is that it doesn't change the look of your character at all. And then lastly, before I got my chance to play as Miss Marvel in this game, they mentioned that there will be DLC characters added to Marvel's Avengers, and they're going to get the full treatment that all the main characters in the base game get. You're going to see alternate costumes, skill trees, the gear system, the whole 9 yards. All that stuff is going to be added for each new hero that is put into this game, which once again will be free of charge. Not to say that the costumes that come with those characters will be free, but the characters themselves will be free of charge. So every time a new character is on the horizon, that's just going to be a free update added to the game. Other things that are going to be added for free, you're going to see new hero missions, you're going to see new Warzone missions, new regions to unlock and explore. There's going to be new bosses and enemy types as well added to the game, and all that's just going to be free. It's going to be free updates for the game. So again, this is why I sort of give them a bit of a pass when they say certain things like the fact that you're going to have to purchase certain alternate costumes through the in-game shop. I give them a pass because they're adding a lot to this game. This seems extremely ambitious. So they're going to have to fund all this additional content somehow, and if that's by me purchasing some alternate costumes through the in-game shop, then fine, so be it. Again, there just needs to be a healthy balance. So, now, let's talk about my chance to play as Ms. Marvel in Marvel's Avengers. I also want to thank the folks at Square Enix, Crystal Dynamics, and Marvel Games for giving me this opportunity. It was really cool to get to talk to Scott Amos, to get to play as Ms. Marvel. All this stuff was really awesome to experience, and my hands-on impressions with the character is that she is really fun. In fact, she is one of the most fun characters that I've gotten to play as in this game so far. I ended up playing the A-Day demo again as it was available on the show floor at EGX, and out of all the characters I've played as, she is right up there with as much fun as I've had with Thor or Captain America. So I didn't get to play Ms. Marvel through any story missions, but I got to play as the character in this thing called the Harm Room, which if you're an X-Men fan is essentially the Danger Room. It's this enclosed area, it's a simulation, and there are waves of enemies that come your way that you got to take down, and as you get further in the waves, they get more difficult, and you're going to face some bosses and some more higher tier enemies that are harder to take down. And honestly, the concept of this in general is really fun. If the Harm Room is going to be something that's available for you to play with any character on the roster, I think that is a fantastic way to get a hold on each and every character, to get an understanding of their combat and how they move around. And also, if you just unlock new abilities, you jump into the Harm Room and test it out so then you can know how to use it when you actually go into a Warzone or a hero mission with that character. I finally got to fully experience the combat in Marvel's Avengers when I got to play as Ms. Marvel here, as I really got to try out all the different things that you can do mid-combat rather than the way that the A-Day demo works, where there are certain moments in the demo that make you do certain things. I tried out her Embiggen move, and it was really badass. She's 4 times the size of everyone in the arena. She's just tossing people around, and they're all reacting to that in a very unique way. So I think that was great. And her character overall, like I said, is one of the more fun characters to play as on this roster, and I can't wait to play more of her when this game comes out. But after my time with playing as Ms. Marvel, I also got to interview Scott Amos myself, and I can't thank him enough for taking the time out to talk to me about this game, to hear out some of my questions. And although he couldn't fully answer some of them, there are some interesting questions here that were answered by Scott Amos that teases some of the things that will be available in Marvel's Avengers. So the first thing that I asked him about was Ms. Marvel and the thought process of including her as the protagonist in the game, and I was wondering if that was just the idea from the start, or if they had explored other options. And Scott said that Kamala Khan, Ms. Marvel, was the character they wanted to be the protagonist from the start. That was the character that they wanted to be the one to reassemble the Avengers from day one, and when you hear that announcement trailer all the way back in 2017, she is the one who is narrating that trailer. He did say that there were other stories and other different things that they were exploring and thinking about, and they essentially had a board of all sorts of stories that they wanted to maybe explore, and then Bill Roseman over at Marvel Games had seen the one with Kamala Khan with Ms. Marvel and said, you know, this one looks really interesting, and that happened to be the one that Crystal Dynamics wanted to move forward with, so luckily they both agreed on that, and that's the story that they went with, which is what we're getting now with this game. And then lastly, I asked Scott in my limited time talking to him about the Warzone missions, and I asked him specifically about how each character is going to be able to enjoy the environment. You know, I followed up saying, like, how are characters like Black Widow or Captain America going to be able to keep up with someone like Iron Man or Thor? Now, Scott said to me that it was really important for the team that there was never a moment where you would be trailing behind as any character, and he hinted to me that each character was provided with something to help them be able to traverse the areas of the Warzone mission and stay on pace with some of the characters that can get around easier. I asked him again, you know, does that mean something like vehicles? Are we going to see Captain America on a motorcycle or something? And unfortunately, he wouldn't answer and simply said that he would leave that up for a surprise because he didn't want to spoil specifically how that was going to work. But it looks like there is going to be something available for every character in the game that gives them the opportunity to keep up with someone who might be a little faster, like an Iron Man, like a Thor who can fly around. And that was all the time I unfortunately had to speak with Scott Amos, but thank you very much once again to the folks at Square Enix, Crystal Dynamics, and Marvel Games for giving me this chance to play Marvel's Avengers once again, to play as Miss Marvel, and to talk to Scott Amos and get a little bit more of the idea of their thought process behind certain things in this game. Now let's move on to an interview that I did not conduct myself, and that is with Philippe Therian, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, who is the lead designer at Crystal Dynamics working on Marvel's Avengers. Now this interview was done in French on act2gaming.net, and I'll leave a link in the description to the French interview, and I'll also leave a link in the description to a translation that was done by the Reddit user by the name of Charlie Logan. So thank you to Charlie Logan for providing the translation of this interview in this Reddit post, and you can read both of those in the description box below. I'm not going to go over the entire interview, just a couple of things that I thought were really interesting that I wanted to talk about, so let's get into it. So a bit later in the interview, Philippe was asked specifically about Spider-Man and whether or not we can expect a crossover between Marvel's Spider-Man and Marvel's Avengers, and this was his answer, again, a rough translation of it. The Insomniac game Spider-Man is a great game, and I'm very happy that the superhero games are starting to have a better quality of narration. We feel like we're starting to get into the era where superhero AAA games have better stuff to offer, not just great action sequences. As a result, we are often asked the question, is it a shared world? Do we see that as a Marvel gaming world? And I love these questions because even if it's not the kind of task that I'm working on, as a fan and developer, it's an honor to be talking about it. The idea that we can contribute to Marvel's world by adding characters or writing stories is incredible. And then the interviewer followed up saying, so you're not against the idea of a collaboration with Insomniac Games? And then they responded saying, these things are very difficult because each studio has its own way of working, but it is certain that we share a common identity with the image of Marvel. I would like that in a hypothetical world. It would be really cool, but it's rarely feasible. So this may be the most concrete answer that we got, that there is no Marvel gaming universe and there might not be any crossover whatsoever between Spider-Man PS4 and Marvel's Avengers. I'm still going to hold out just a glimmer of hope because I would really like to see it happen, but it looks like there won't be any crossover between Spider-Man PS4 and this Avengers game, which I think is pretty unfortunate, but if that's the way that it's got to be for the folks at Crystal Dynamics to make the best Avengers game that they can, then I understand it. But they still have been hinting that there's going to be some really cool PlayStation exclusive content available in this game, and I mean, Spider-Man's exclusive to the PlayStation, so please tell me there's some hope here. What could also be a possibility is that maybe we see Spider-Man in this game, but it's not necessarily Insomniac Games Spider-Man, but more so just Crystal Dynamics and their version of the character, or maybe there's going to be some sort of multiverse thing going on. I don't know, but all I know is I would really love to see Spidey in this game in some way or another. There are 3 more questions that I wanted to showcase here for this interview. 2 of them were a little rapid fire. One asks about S.H.I.E.L.D. and what their place will be in the story, and Philippe hints that S.H.I.E.L.D. will be in the game, and it's something that we're going to have to discover, so I'm not entirely sure what that's going to be like, but we do know that Maria Hill is in the game. We hear her talking to us during the A-Day demo, so S.H.I.E.L.D. has some sort of presence there. And then the second rapid fire question was about AIM and whether or not we're going to see MODOK in this game. And Philippe says, AIM is here, we've shown Abomination 2, and there's sure to be other villains in the game, but we're not showing others yet to keep some surprises. So that's really interesting. You know that I've been wondering whether or not MODOK will be the main villain of this game, considering AIM's heavy involvement in the story, so I guess that's something we're just going to have to wait and see. And then the last question I wanted to talk about was asked regarding how frequent we're going to see DLC content added to Marvel's Avengers. Although it's a rough translation, he essentially says, after the end of the year, after the holidays, we will be able to talk about the schedule and the frequency for the characters. We try to see what we are able to do and have the best result possible, and we also want to keep people interested. So this may be something that we're going to have answered for us as we get into the new year, and of course we're also going to see some co-op gameplay and have a big explanation on how that's going to work in the new year as well. So a lot of Avengers content to cover as we get closer to this release date, but there was so much to talk about in this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video, as that's what's going to wrap it up. And now I'm going to kick it to you guys. Let me know your thoughts on all this in the comments section below. What bit of news here excites you the most? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And before we wrap up today's video, I told you guys that I had a big announcement to make, so please stick around. Don't shut off the video just yet. I had a really cool announcement to make here, so check this out. Okay, so as I mentioned at the top of the video, I got a bit of an announcement to make. Don't skip ahead. Okay, don't shut down the video. Please just hear me out on this one, all right? We got an announcement to make. I'm really excited about this one. It is a sponsorship announcement, a partnership announcement that I'm very happy to finally be talking about. And I got something in my hands here that'll help me make that announcement officially. So let me just show you guys what I got here. If you know what this is, then you know who I'm sponsored by. I'll show you the back as well. It's official. I am sponsored by Scuff Gaming now, and I am so excited to finally be telling you guys about it and to finally be making this announcement. I've actually been using this controller. This is the Scuff Prestige for the Xbox One. I've been using this controller stealthily in the last couple of MK11 online videos, so if you've been seeing me kicking ass with the Terminator or Noob Saibot and stuff, that's because of this bad boy right here. You know, I've been using this controller. I've been having a blast with it. For those who might not know what Scuff is, which get out from the rock you're living under, but Scuff is essentially the creme de la creme of custom-made controllers for the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. They're really long-lasting, super durable, and then obviously they're giving you some real high performance, of course, with the paddles on the back. So if you want, you can use my custom link in the description box below and check out their website and see some of the products available. It is scuff.co/caboose with a capital C. It is case sensitive, so make sure you're using that capital C, otherwise it's not going to bring you to the proper website. If you don't want to type it out, just click the link in the description box below and it's going to take you straight to that website. And then if you want to buy one of the products available on the website, if you want to get a new controller that's long lasting and it's going to give you good high performance, you can use my code, which is Caboose with a capital C once again, to get a nice little discount, 5% off on your order. And with all that said, thank you very much to Scuff for sponsoring me. I'm really excited to make this announcement and I hope you guys are excited about it as well. And with all that said, I hope you enjoyed the video that I had for you today. I've been Caboose, and I'll see you guys later.